It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about a product called NTopNG or NTopNG. So it's based on Ntop, and it uses Ntop in the background, but sorry for the dog that's barking, it's not usually there. So if you hear it, I apologize. But so talking about this, it's a high-speed web-based traffic analysis and flow collection, and it gives you a nice browser-based view of what Ntop is collecting. So if you want to kind of scroll down through here, you can see all of the things that you can do with it and see on it, but basically it sorts network traffic according to a lot of criteria. You can show real-time network traffic and active hosts. You can produce long-term reports, top talkers on your network, monitor and report live throughput. So as we go through, you'll see it's a lot of reporting, a lot of monitoring and analyzing, so you can just do tons of things with this software, which is pretty great. And again, you can just run it in Docker and then tell it how to access your network, which is pretty awesome as well. So we'll use Docker and Docker Compose like I do on most of my videos. And don't worry, I'll put a link in the description for how to install Docker and Docker Compose if you don't already have those installed. It's really not that tricky. It's a really nice bit of software, and you can just open it up in a browser and view it from anywhere basically, which makes it really great. So if you're looking for something a little bit more than what they offer in the Community Edition, you do have these other options that do give you more capabilities, so it may be worth it for you depending on what you're trying to see and what you're looking at. I'm just using this on my home network. I don't have an enterprise level network or anything, or a university, but it might be worth looking at their paid options if you're interested in what else you can get out of this. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that you can actually use with this thing, but when you get into the installation of it, there are several ways you can do it, but I actually did it through Docker. So down at the bottom there's a bunch of screenshots here, and we can go through the screenshots, but I'd rather just show it to you live. So let's get into the install, and we'll go through that process with Docker and Docker Compose. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. Let's get into this install. So I'm going to open up my terminal here. I'm already SSH'd into my other system, but I'm going to go back to my home directory here. So I'm just going to show you ls that it's in the home, and I'm going to clear it out. And you want to do this first, mkdir. Name this directory whatever you want. You're just making a folder. I called it NTopNG, so it's easy to identify. And then hit enter so that you get a new directory. And if you do an ls, you should see a folder that looks like this. And then if you do cd NTopNG, it should give you something like that if you tab, or you can just type out NTopNG, hit enter, and you'll be inside of that directory. Now if we do an ls, you'll see that I have a docker compose.yaml file, so you'll want to do the same thing. You want to create that. If you do ls, it's going to be empty, so you want to do nano docker-compose.yml. Type that out, and once you're ready, hit enter. Now yours will be empty, but in my show notes, I'm going to have this where you can go and actually copy it and paste it instead of having to copy it down and type it all by hand. But I want to go through the file anyway so you have a chance to look at it. So if we look here, it's version 3 of Docker Compose, and then the services are NTopNG, and here's the image that we're going to be pulling down. And then the command is we're going to use the community version, and it's going to run as a daemon. And var live NTopNG is how it starts, and then this is telling it what interface to use. So this is my wireless interface on one of my other machines, so I'm going to have to replace this in a minute with the actual wired interface on this machine that we're about to use. And then it says -r, and this just tells it localhost, and then here is the port for the Redis database that it uses as well. So don't change this part right here, just leave this alone. So this uses port 3000 by default. We want to change this, or I do. If you're already using 3000 for something else, which I am, you need to change this to a different port. So I'm going to change this to 3410, and we'll just let that be the port that we're going to use. So 3410 is my port. And then I also need, so I'm just going to move down, and we'll come back and change that interface here in just a minute. So we'll change this right here in a minute to what we need, and I'll show you how to find your interface name. This is where it's going to create volumes. So we're going to create a data folder inside of the current NTopNG folder, and then it'll create this other one that it needs, but we're going to create this one just to have it there. You don't really have to, it'll do it, but I like to do that. Network mode equals host, so this wants to use the host network, and it has to be able to reach out onto the rest of your network, or else it won't be able to find that host network. And then restart unless stopped. So this just means, like, unless I stop this thing intentionally, if I reboot the machine, anything like that, it's going to restart this Docker container. The Redis is the database backend, so it's going to pull down the Redis Alpine image. It's going to run that command, and then it's going to use this port to communicate, which is fine. I don't have anything else using that port currently that I'm aware of. And then Redis data and restart unless stopped, same way. So we'll be good as far as this goes. So it's going to use the data folder for both containers, which is great, and it'll create the subfolders that it needs. So we're going to just save this file with Control-O, hit Enter to save, and then Control-X. So first I'm going to make the data directory. That's it. Now you see there's a data directory and a docker compose.yaml, and I'm going to clear that out, and then we're going to do an IP ADDR show. This is just going to show you all of your interfaces with your IP addresses, and I have a whole bunch of bridges that are based on the Docker stuff, so we're just going to scroll up through this until we get past all of these Docker bridges, and we're really looking for our Ethernet. In my case, if you're looking for your wireless, we'll also find that. But we're just kind of going through and checking what all these are. I'm going to get way up here to the top because I think that's one of these first ones, which it is. So here's my wireless, which is WLP3S0. So if I wanted to use that, this is what I would use. But I actually want to use my Ethernet. So it's this one, ENO1 is the name of the interface. So that's what I want to go back and put into that Docker Compose file. So ENO1, and I'm going to go back into the Docker Compose. So nano docker-compose.yaml, and here I'll clear this out so you can see what we're doing right here. And I'm going to go down to this line, and I'm going to get rid of that wireless interface name, and I'm going to put in my actual wired interface because it'll be a bit faster, ENO1. I'm going to save this, Control-O to save, Control-X to exit out of nano, clear that out, and now we're just going to do docker compose up -D. So docker -compose and then up -D. So this assumes that you have Docker and Docker Compose installed already and ready to go. And we're going to let this run, and it's going to go pull down the images that it needs. So it says the Redis one is done. So we can do a docker ps. And we can look through these to see if we see NTopNG. We see Redis and we see NTopNG, and it says that it's been up for 10 seconds. That's a good sign. So now we can go to our browser again, and we should be able to access that site at 192.168, in my case, .7.125. This is the IP address of my server. So whatever you're running this on at your network, you want to go to that IP address, or if it's on the machine you're actively working on, its localhost is fine. And then I used port 34, I think it was 10. We can go check. That's an easy enough thing to do. Docker compose.yaml. Well, yeah, 3410 is the port that I use. So I'm going to hit Control-X there to get out of that. We've got that address in, and I'm going to hit Enter. Here we are at the web page, so we're going to use these default username and password to log in the first time, and then we'll change those. And we're going to click on Login. And here's telling us change the password. So I'm going to say don't save, and I'm going to tell this not to save. So I'm going to make this a strong password. And then you repeat that strong password, pick the language that you prefer, okay, and then we're going to hit change password, and you could save it at this point if you want to. I'm not going to. So it's going to talk about the top new talkers, and you see as it runs, it's going to bring in more data and more information here for us, which is great. It's going to start mapping out information from the network, and here I'm just going to say, oh, let's see. Oh, it's asking us to contribute to the project by sending encrypted data, so I'm just going to say close for now. That's fine. I don't need to do that. So we can kind of check out the interface here, and you can see some different information about what's going on with the interface. And I want to make this just, I'm going to blow it up. It may kind of mess up the interface by doing this, but that way you guys can see exactly what's going on here. So here you can see 6.9 kilobits a second, 17 up kilobits per second down, and up is the 6.9. And then we can kind of look, and we only have this one because we don't map all of them, so we're just using that one thing. And then it says community edition, and it tells us, 12 flows, 5 flows that may be critical, 59 devices, 16 remote hosts, let's see, 15 local hosts, 41 devices, and 81 flows here. So it kind of breaks this out, and I think if we click, yeah, so it'll take us to the 14 or the 11 flows there, and it keeps popping this up so that you can just close it. But it says, MDNS, so it's going to kind of tell you here's 7-20 or 7.24 with MDNS, and it'll kind of tell you what's going on. There's the duration, here's the breakdown, bits per second. So I had it zoomed in so much it's going to be hard to see all the data that's provided whenever you look at this, but here now you can see kind of what's going on this chart. So I'll zoom it back in a little bit to make it easier. But you can see here's the count of what's going on, or you can say increase how many things I see. So now we've got it up to 20. You can change to hosts, and you can say all hosts, local hosts, remote only, local client, remote server, local server, remote client, that kind of thing. So we can click on that and see if it filters it to what we wanted. It doesn't really show us anything, so we can go back to all. And then you can look at status, normal, all alerted, flow risk. You can look at severity here, which is nice. They give you a count to tell you, hey, what's going on, so we can look at warnings. And you can do it by you can filter by warnings. And then direction, so just so many things you can filter by out here. So it's really a great kind of easy way to look at things, and you've kind of got this constant information up here that's getting updated as you go. And you can always keep an eye on what's going on with your traffic here. So when you get alerts, you can kind of click on this and see if there's any detected alerts. I don't think there are yet. Oh yeah, there's a few things here. So I've got a warning, right? Unexpected device connected, so unexpected MAC address device, living room connected to the network. So it says it's an unexpected device, but it's not. I know what this is. This is my Apple TV. So there's several things on here. Some of these are going to be my wife's iMac. So I'm not sure why it thinks these are unexpected, but I could dig in and start looking to figure it out and start cleaning this up so that I get a better network diagram as well, and fewer alerts. So we can look at the flow alerts here, and it tells us malformed packet, so it's coming from this MAC address, and so you can just really kind of dig in and look at what's going on your network. And again, I'll zoom this out a little bit so you can just see that there's icons there. So this is a really interesting looking chart, and you get a lot of information here out of it whenever you start kind of looking at this thing. So you can really kind of dig in, and then you have this little gear icon that will take you to kind of look at everything that it's talking about and what it's doing, and you can kind of say the DPI flow risks. So you can disable this flow risk stuff, and then you can kind of click through here to say, what are the things, suspicious DNS traffic, so these are all selected by default. But you can change this, and then you can hold down the control key to multi-select the things that you're interested in and see how that turns out. So maybe you're not interested in everything here, but you're really interested in just a few things, and then you can apply that and make that change. I'm going to say cancel for now. Yep. So as you're clicking through, there's all these things over here on the side that you can kind of check out. So there's flows, and then there's hosts. So this is really interesting to me, like what hosts are on my network. Now I can see this through the Eero app, but it's on my phone and it's super tiny. This is very interesting to me because I can kind of get it to go and pick up all the hosts on my network. And here's the IP address. So some of these are IPv6 addresses, as you can see. And then I think maybe we can filter this. Let's see. Yeah, IP version. There we go. IPv4 only. So there we go. I've cut out all the IPv6 stuff, and here's the IPv4. So you can kind of go check this out. Here's 255, and I can see what this machine is doing, and it says received 0 bits, 253, 250, 242. So if I click into it, I can see more information about it, and this is my wife's iMac. So you can kind of see a little bit more information about this actual machine here on my network. And then we can go back and just continue through that log. So I mean, I think this is a really awesome program for doing some network analysis stuff. So you can go by MAC addresses, networks. So I don't have multiple networks, I only have one network technically. So that's kind of what you're going to see here. So the IPv6 network and the IPv4 network get picked up as different networks, but I do only have one network. So we can click on this, and you can again see all of the hosts. So as we keep going down, here's this interface option, so you can kind of see the different information about the interfaces that you're looking at and what's going on. So you can kind of just check out this part as well, and there's stuff that you can download here. So you've got a BPF filter, bits per, I don't know, 1 minute. It's doing everything 1 minute. So if you go down to settings, you've got users, you've got preferences, you've got user scripts, you've got managed configurations, managed data, applications and categories, category lists. So there's quite a bit of settings that you can also put into this. So if you click on users, you'll see that here's the admin user, and you can create a new user for yourself if you don't want to use the admin user. If we go to preferences, so there's quite a few preferences that you can set here as well. So you can have minutes, hours, days for different things. So basically authenticated session duration, authenticated session timeout. So you can kind of set these things up for how long people are authenticated. And then you can go to time series, so time series driver, traffic, layer 7 applications, alerts, applications. We can go look at applications as well. So top HTTP sites, and you can see what all the top sites are as far as that goes. And you can turn that on or off if you want to see those things. The logging that happens here, so log level, you can trace log, you can do HTTP access log, and you can do host pool events log. Network discovery, telemetry, user interface settings, so auto log out, the theme. I don't know that we really can change. I guess we can do dark maybe. I don't know if that just gets applied or if we have to apply it. Save. There we go. So there's the dark theme if you prefer that one. Default I think is the light theme. Yeah. Maximum displayed string length, and then access control list. And then finally miscellaneous items, throughput units, hosts, and mask host IP address. So up in the upper right, you can see where you're logged in and who you're logged in as. You can toggle your theme here as well, and then of course you can log out if you want to. And then there's also search, where you can search through all the different things in the system. So here you can kind of filter down to the hosts, to the ports that are of interest, and to the applications. So you can kind of do a whole lot of things here. So MDNS, HTTP, unknown, and other. And when you look at hosts, you can kind of see the different information about the different hosts that are doing things. So here's 7.215 and 125. So this is the host that's actually running this application right now. If you're a network administrator or someone who's interested in what's going on your network, I think this is a really amazing tool. It's open source. You can get the community edition. You can run it just like I did and let it start running on your network. And I want you to think about the possibilities of this, not only from the perspective of, hey, I'm running it on my local network to see what's happening, but what if you have a distributed network where you connect to things through a VPN, maybe WireGuard or OpenVPN, and you're connecting to a network that's a little bit broader than this one, where you can have communication between those systems and have something check that network. I think this could be a really cool tool. And in order to kind of update what you're looking at, you'd come back to your terminal here and you'd open up your Docker Compose file. And on this line right here, instead of saying EN01, you would go back into that interfaces list that we did a while ago with the IP ADDR show, find the interface for your VPN while it's connected, type it in here, and then bring that interface up so that you can actually see that interface as well. So my network's not super exciting. You can see as it updates here about every 5 seconds, it gets a little bit more information on the dashboard. But if you didn't notice, down here are some controls where you say, you know, I don't want this to keep updating. I want to see this detail. So if you have a lot more stuff going on, you can just hit this pause, and that should pause it from updating. I think, or stop maybe. There we go. Yeah, so if you hit the stop, it should stop it from updating, and you can kind of take a look and see what's going on with these things and kind of get a look at what's happening. So 215, 24, 173, my main system here that I'm on seems to be getting picked up by name, which is great. And then up here is 220. I'd have to go look up what 220 is because I don't remember off the top of my head. But then we can hit play again and it'll start picking up again and going live. You can also change how often it updates. So if you don't like 5 seconds and you prefer 30 seconds or 1 minute, whatever, you can change it to that, or you can set it to never. So kind of up to you on that one. I like the 5 seconds. That's pretty great. Now it depends on how big that database is going to get as it keeps running at that rate. So I don't know if Redis will automatically kind of get rid of that stuff, but there's probably settings where you can set that as well. And then you can of course see the notifications up here. So December 10th, you know, they've got some different stuff happening. So this is really NTop telling you, hey, there's a few things that you could take part in and really look at, which I think is kind of cool that they do this as well. So yeah, not a bad little item or addition as well. So that's NTopNG. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get a lot out of the information that I gave you. And if you're interested in network analysis, I think this is a really awesome tool. And again, just from a web browser, you're able to do this. So you start running this on one of your machines with Docker and Docker Compose and just kind of let it run. And then you can get out there and analyze your network and see what's going on. If you're a network administrator and you're looking for a great tool, I think this one's pretty great. And I think, you know, if you're looking for more than this offers in the Community Edition, it could be worthwhile to check out those paid options as well and help support the project and help support the group that's making this. So give that a shot, check it out. If you want more, look into the pricing and see if it fits your needs. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, click the little bell icon so you know when I put out new videos in the future, and tell your friends about it so they can come along on the journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.